The engine sputtered. Eleanor Gray cursed, pulling her car to the side of the road. Dusk was settling over the road, shrouding the trees in an unwelcome darkness. She checked her phone. No signal, of course. She was officially stranded. She had been driving for hours, trying to make it to Oakhaven before nightfall. Now the only landmark in sight was a weather-beaten sign. Dunbridge Hollow, it proclaimed in faded paint. Eleanor sighed. There was nothing else to do but follow the winding road deeper into the unknown. The forest pressed in on either side, the silence broken only by the crunch of gravel beneath her tires. The air grew colder, the shadows deepening into an impenetrable darkness. Finally, through the gloom, she saw the flicker of lights, Dunbridge Hollow. A wave of unease washed over her as she entered the village. The houses were dark and dilapidated, pressed close together as if seeking comfort from the encroaching forest. The windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out at her. Not a single soul was in sight. It was a place forgotten by time, steeped in an unsettling stillness. Eleanor pulled up to what looked like the only inn in town. It was a rickety two-story building with a sign that read, "The Rusty Lantern." The paint was peeling, and the windows were grimy, but it was her only hope. Taking a deep breath, Eleanor stepped out of the car and into the oppressive silence of Dunbridge Hollow. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. A chill wind whistled through the empty streets, carrying with it a low, mournful howl that sent shivers down Eleanor's spine. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the creaking of signs and the rustling of unseen creatures in the nearby woods. As Eleanor approached the inn, she noticed the windows were boarded up, save for one that glowed faintly with a flickering orange light. With a hesitant hand, she knocked on the heavy wooden door. The sound echoed through the empty street, swallowed by the oppressive silence. She waited, her heart pounding in her chest. Stillness. Just as she was about to knock again, the door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadow. Eleanor squinted, trying to make out the face in the dim light. It was a woman, her face etched with deep lines and her eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Looking for a room?" the woman rasped, her voice like dry leaves crunching underfoot. Eleanor nodded, her throat suddenly dry. "My car broke down a few miles back. Is there a mechanic in town?" The woman's lips tightened. No mechanic, no phones, no way out of Dunbridge Hollow once the fog settles. Unease slithered down Eleanor's spine. How long will the fog last? The innkeeper shrugged, a dismissive gesture that sent a fresh wave of fear through Eleanor. A day, a week, maybe longer. Eleanor swallowed, pushing down the rising panic. "Well, a room then, please." The woman stepped back, gesturing for Eleanor to enter. The inn was dark and musty, lit only by a few flickering oil lamps. Dust motes danced in the stale air. A fire crackled weakly in the hearth, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The innkeeper led her down a narrow hallway, the floorboards groaning under their combined weight. She stopped at the end of the hall in front of a door with the number 3 etched into the wood. "3 rules!" the innkeeper said, her voice low and sharp. "Don't open your window after dark. Don't answer any knocks at your door after midnight." And most importantly, her grip tightened on Eleanor's arm, her eyes burning into Eleanor's with unsettling intensity. "Don't trust anyone." Eleanor swallowed, her throat suddenly dry. "What do you mean?" But the innkeeper had already turned away, disappearing back down the hallway, leaving Eleanor alone with the echoing silence and a growing sense of dread. The room was small and sparsely furnished. A single bed with a lumpy mattress took up most of the space. A rickety wardrobe stood against one wall, its paint chipped and faded. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay. Eleanor shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around herself. Exhaustion finally overwhelmed her fear, and she collapsed onto the bed, fully clothed. She tried to ignore the strange noises coming from the walls, the creaking floorboards, the howling wind outside her window. She closed her eyes, willing herself to sleep and to forget the unsettling atmosphere of Dunbridge Hollow. She woke with a start, heart pounding in her chest. The room was bathed in an eerie silver light. Fog had rolled in, blanketing the village in a dense, suffocating embrace. It pressed against the window pane like a living thing. And then she saw him, a figure tall and gaunt, silhouetted against the fog. He stood just beyond the window, his features obscured by the swirling mist. He was staring at her, his eyes two burning coals in the darkness. Eleanor held her breath, frozen in terror. The figure remained motionless, its gaze unwavering. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone, swallowed by the fog.